Hey, how's it going? CJ, and I just wanted to show you guys how you might be able to use the application SalesGenie for prospecting and finding leads and getting some more sales. I actually have been using SalesGenie for about several months now, and I mean, I got to tell you, it was a lot of work because I wasn't, really involved in cold calling before. Um, but it sort of paid off because from using SalesGenie, I actually got a couple new customers just from my efforts through SalesGenie. So it definitely does work when you put in the work for it. But some of the reasons why I like SalesGenie is they have one of the largest databases out there. And if you talk to one of their reps, uh, they're actually in close ties with Google, where Google actually goes through SalesGenie to validate a lot of company information and stuff. And they're incentivized in a lot of different ways, which makes it reasonable for like a Google to rely on SalesGenie. But the way I think it's helpful is that there's multiple ways to use it. A lot of the main reasons are to get the phone numbers. But what I also like is that within SalesGenie, the you can find the business owner's name. So you can imagine it's a lot more impactful when you cold call someone. First you got to get through the gatekeeper a lot of times. But if you can say, hey, is Ron available? It, you would be surprised of how easy it is to kind of go around that. Versus the other way would be like, hey, is a manager available, or can I speak with someone in charge of whatever? It's a little easier to get past the gatekeeper, um, knowing the owner's name. And I was going to kind of dive in. The first thing I was going to show is that what you can also do is save searches. Now, what I did here is since I actually was cold calling people nationwide. Um, One of the things I did here was to separate it based on time zones in the U.S. Because I came across something that mentioned, like the best times of the day, in aggregate to reach out to people. I think it was something like uh, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. and like 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. So basically, with my methodology internally, I would strategically reach out to people on the East Coast time, then Central, then Mountain, then Pacific, and then do the same thing later in the afternoon. So I really pushed it, and by doing that, I'm on the phone, 8 hours a day or so, doing that. But it was pretty handy because again, there is sort of more valuable ways to use Sales Genie uh, than you'd probably expect. So I was just going to dive right in. That's kind of I just wanted to show that because I would probably not come back to this. But the other thing to keep actually before I jump, because I'll forget this, is that you can actually use Sales Genie for calls, phone finding. Sorry, for doing phone calls, for for getting email addresses, and exporting those to put in, to a cold email list. Um, and there's a variety of other, like if you were doing like what's it called, where you send outreach via snail mail. You also have access to that. So let me just jump into this. So what I would do is I'd do search for leads, um, and then you could find there's this is where the devil's in the details. It's however you want to organize this, and pardon the storm that's happening in the background. But just to give you an idea, one of my targets was arborist. So what I can do here is I can search and line of business, click this. Um, it's been a while since I've done that. Okay, so then run search. So then nationwide, it shows that there's 1,700 plus records for arborist, right? So a couple things I noticed is selling SEO services. A lot of, I want to filter this down a little bit. And what I noticed is that like one man bands, they rarely, they have more excuses if they say it's just me, I don't have the money or whatever. So what I would do is do like two, so at least there's another head they're trying to feed in their organization. So 1,700 plus goes down to something here soon. 1,400. Okay. So from that, you could do more filters of if this makes sense for your business. Um, I personally haven't found this to be that accurate, so I haven't really relied on it because I think it just overly pollutes it. But I'll show you a couple other handy features within here. Where am I? Let's see. Type of company, only privately held companies run search, so that narrows it down from 1,400 to okay, about same thing. Um, Here's the other thing. I think it's this one. Only companies with phone number, because that's all I'm doing. Or they must have a phone number, because sometimes they can list it in SalesGenie without any contact, which basically makes it useless, at least for me. And then since I do SEO, I definitely want them to have a web address, because that's the purpose of why I'd be calling them. So it should narrow it down even more from 1,400 to about 1,000. So that took off about 400 just by that. So there's other things you could do in here, but then it's just a matter of calling them. What you have here, like I could organize it by executive. Um, Actually, I might even just do a cold call right now. Sales. Been a while since I opened up this. Come on. And I'll do that once I'm prepared for it. But so the handy thing here is that I could call this business. The other thing is you can make sure their site is actually up. So again, doing SEO, I'd probably be over here doing some things on like because I always want to make sure I can actually help the people before I call them. I'm sure there's other verticals where you know you can just call people who need whatever. So I could call these people and say like, I noticed you only have 22 backlinks. You're only ranking for 21 keywords. Um, I could do a variety of things. Uh, I could say you're ranking on the 88th position for tree services Orlando, while your competition, treeworknow.com, is on the first page. Would you like service, basically? Um, so that's just something I could do. And like I said, I'm probably going to jump on another video. Make sure if you're interested at all of how my operation goes with this, check out my other video because I have a pretty sophisticated way just using like Google Slides. So it lives all within the browser. And I'll do some actual live calls, but I just wanted to do a quick video to give you an idea of SalesGenie and what it's used for. I'd go through like all these, go through my standard script, um, and then if I wanted to go page to page, wait for that. So it's pretty handy. I find that the numbers and the executives is pretty accurate. I mean, sometimes it's hard to get around the gatekeeper, but other times, when you can call this number and say, "Hey, is Andrew there?" It just makes it easier to start a conversation, and then you kind of got to take it from there. But I find Sales Genie really useful for basically being able to find a list, a database of leads for a certain industry, especially. and then pretty accurate information for the phone number and executive info. So I just wanted to do a quick video on this, and I'm going to get everything set up for my next video. Thanks.